Okay, is everyone ready?
Smoke in a cockpit, man. Airport.
I'm ready.
Ready.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City of Woodland Park
She
and
said she was
Recreation.
ready on the computer, so I walked by and said, I'm ready.
Oh, sorry. Are we ready now? Okay. Well, welcome everyone to the November 23rd, 2020 City of Woodland Park and Recreations Commission meeting. This is Park and Recreations Vice Chair Magdalene Martin. Before we get started, I'd like to make clear a few things. The recording of this meeting, I would like to make clear for the record of this meeting, and it should be reflected in the meetings, that this regular Parks and Recreation Commission meeting of November 23rd, 2020 will be conducted pursuant to Governor Newsom's Executive Order N-29-20. The meeting will be held via teleconference, and Park and Recreation Commission members will participate via teleconference. Those locations are not listed on the agenda and are not accessible to the public. Excuse me for a sec. I'm not following the rules here. The public is encouraged to listen to the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting live by going to the City of Woodland website at www.cityofwoodland.org/meetings. Any member of the public watching the live stream who wishes to make a comment on an item as it is being heard may submit an email to krista.bain@cityofwoodland.org prior to public comments on that item. Email comments submitted to be read into the record shall be no more than 3 minutes, and when read aloud, please include the agenda item on the subject line. At this time, Krista Bain, it would be appropriate for you to conduct roll call. Each member must identify themselves during the roll call.
All right. Vice Chair Commissioner Martin.
Present.
Commissioner Valkarinki.
I'm present.
Commissioner White Snyder.
This is Commissioner White Snyder. I'm present.
And Chair Ali is not present.
Thank you, Krista. I would now like to request that each member of the commission respond to these questions. Commissioner Valkarini, can you hear me well?
This is Commissioner Valkaringi. Yes, I can hear you.
Commissioner White Snyder, can you hear me well?
This is Commissioner White Snyder, and yes, I can hear you well.
Does each member of the commission have a copy of the agenda for this meeting? Please respond individually.
This is Commissioner Valkaringi, and yes, I have a copy of the agenda.
This is Commissioner White Snyder. Yes, I have a copy of the agenda.
Is Kathy present?
No, she's not.
Okay. Well, can
but yes, yes, the agenda has been posted.
Thank you, Krista. The record should reflect the 3 commissioners that are present for this teleconference and have indicated that they were able to hear the proceedings. At this time, I am requesting that city staff introduce themselves and their positions so that the record can reflect their attendance.
Good evening, everyone. This is Christine Engel, the Community Services Director.
Hi there, I'm Chris Bain, the Community Services Program Manager.
Hi, I'm Wes Schroeder. I'm the Park Superintendent.
Thank you. As we go through the agenda, I would request that before speaking, you should identify yourself each time. For example, this is Vice Commissioner Martin, etc. Let the individual speak and please do not interrupt. I would also ask that to the greatest extent possible that everyone mute their phones and any background noise so that we don't get unnecessary background noise. I would also like to advise all commissioners and city staff that any votes taken during this teleconference portion of the meeting must be taken by roll call. I would ask that Krista Bain take the roll for any and all votes. Now we will begin the agenda. At this time, if we would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. We can start. I pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of
America, and to the
to
republic
the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we'll move to item E on the agenda, communications. Are there any public comments at this time?
Yes, there is a question that was emailed to us. All right, is everybody ready? 2 questions. And so it comes from Elizabeth Shin. And the question number 1 is, how has moving online versus meeting in person affected the nature and or quality of the meetings? And question number 2 is, the Parks and Recreation Commission deals with a lot of community service programs. When it comes to future programs, what is the most important goal you want to accomplish?
So this is where, generally commissioners do not need to respond to public comment, but if the commission would like to entertain this and provide feedback in like 1 to 3 minutes cumulatively, that would be fine. Or it can be deferred to the next meeting where you can provide a response.
Would any commissioners like to respond at this time, or would you like to defer it and respond later?
This is John Paul. I think we could respond now, each of us giving a brief statement.
Okay. Commissioner Valcarani, would you like to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. I think that the commission meetings online have been a good way for us to connect during a really difficult time. And so I've been happy we've been able to do that, but I do miss the physical meetings. I feel that these meetings online are much more formal and there's much less interaction with each other and with the public. So I look forward to when we can go back to live meetings. Having said that, I am happy we have at least this. We were out of meetings for about 3 months and I missed not being able to attend the meetings. In terms of goals for the future, I think the 2 goals I have is 1, really focusing on youth in our community. I've just learned how important the Parks and Recs Commission is to young people and families, and I really want to make that the focus of continued work on the commission for me. And also being a voice, not just for the city of Woodland, but for my community, my neighborhood, which is over on the east side of town. It's the Spring Lake neighborhood. So I definitely pay attention to what my neighbors in the neighborhood are saying. And when I hear it and it's something related to the commission, I bring it to the commission's attention.
Commissioner White Snyder.
Carla, you're muted.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I miss the personal, seeing the community give their presentations quickly, and I miss the personal face-to-face interaction. I think we're doing well. I think the communication has gone well in the meetings, and I'm glad we've been able to continue the meetings using this technology. Going forward, my goal, the things I've learned with what the city has to go through for their budget to get the facilities and the ability for our youth and seniors to have the city programs that they do. I'm proud of anything I can do to help move that along. and keep track of that and watch the budget. So that's my nutshell version of an answer. Thank you.
Thanks. Well, this is Commissioner Martin, and as far as how the meetings are going, I would reiterate what the other two commissioners have said. I think they have gone really well. You know, the whole, you know, Zoom and teleconference platform is a great way for us to continue to meet and interact, you know, while following safety guidelines and making sure that, you know, each of us are, you know, participating safely. As far as what my goals were, being the newest commissioner, I was really looking forward to being able to be out in the community and being more involved this year. And you know, the pandemic has delayed that a bit. So when we are back able to meet in person, that is one of my goals, just to learn more about the, you know, operations of Park and Recreation Department, period, and to be able to meet members of the community and find out what other interests they have as far as what park services should offer. Anyone else have any further comments? Any other public comments?
There was nothing else submitted. Oh, Christine?
No, I was just going to say, I have something before we get to committee reports.
But there was nothing else submitted.
Okay. Christine, did you have something before you get to item F?
Yeah, I have to say that I have the original agenda that was submitted, so I'm assuming item F is committee reports. I did just want to provide some information during staff report before we get to our regular staff report in regards to Spring Lake and the timing of having a community meeting for future parks. This is something that Commissioner Valcaringi had expressed interest in. So the update with that is, with the building permit activity being strong the last few years, we've been able to pay off the loans for the parkland purchase, and we're now accumulating funds toward the next phase of park construction and completion. So if the permitting continues to be strong, we anticipate initiating public output with the Spring Lake community in early to mid 2021. And this would be for completing the parks like at Gonzales, Slavin, and Spring Lake, as well as initiating construction of the new park. So it's not a lot to go on, but we do anticipate that 2021 could be really a good year for getting the new park initiated in Spring Lake, as well as moving towards the next steps for completing the other parks. Any questions on that before I move on to two other tidbits?
This is Commissioner Valcaringi, and Christine, I really want to give you sincere thanks for gathering that information and providing it in a public forum, because I know that's something on a lot of people's minds in my neighborhood. Jack Slavin isn't quite 10 years old yet, but it's very close, and it's not completed. And Rick Gonzales is now, and Spring Lake are now probably 2 to 3 years old. And I'm sure that, you know, people are in the same boat as I am. We're watching our kids grow up, and they're done with the playground part of the park, and the neighborhood is growing to a point where older kids need a place to play. And so it would be nice to see those parks completed with the focus on middle school and high school age children. So we're very excited to hear that information. And I think that some of the questions they will ask when we have planning meetings is, you know, what sort of dollars are we going to need to develop the kind of parks that we're hopeful we can develop, and how long will it take to reach those funding goals? I remember when we started talking about Rick Gonzales Park, and from those discussions and concept development to the actual park, it does take at least a year, sometimes 2 years. And so giving people timelines so that they can know what to expect would really be appreciated in 2021.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it will be great to initiate the conversations for all three parks at the same time. And it's hard to believe that I do believe it was April of 2018 when we did the grand opening ceremonies for Rick Gonzalez and for Spring Lake Park. So time has like whizzed by with those, and it's time to get to the next phase.
Yeah.
So the other two items that I wanted to report on at the city council meeting last week, the city council did approve the city manager to execute an agreement with the Woodland Joint Unified School District MOU for the preparation of a youth master plan. So this will be a collaborative effort. There's 3 phases. The first phase really is kind of just like an initial phase, getting some input from youth, and then also organizing like a strategic committee that will then move forward with the other phases to get more input from the community and specifically the youth. So this is something just to keep on your horizon, that we'll be starting to work on this in 2021. And it's a project that will probably take about a year and a half to do the youth master plan. The other item that was approved was allowing the city manager to execute a license agreement with the Woodland Recreation Foundation and a use agreement for the development of the fast pitch fields at the sports park. There's a little thing that we need to work through first before we can sign those agreements, and that is that the land that the fields are located on is currently leased by a farmer. So we need to modify the lease with that farmer to exclude the land that the fields are located on, and then we can move forward with the fast pitch agreements. But that was a huge accomplishment. Thank you to John Paul, to Carla, to the whole commission, and especially to Skip Davies and Jim Hilliard for advancing that project and working on it so diligently since 2017. So those are my updates just from the council meeting last week.
Okay, thank you. So we will move on to item F, communications, commission staff statements and requests. Commissioner Valcaringi.
This is Commissioner Valcaringi. I don't have any communications or requests at this time.
Commissioner White Snyder.
This is Commissioner White Snyder. I don't have anything additional to add other than the work that's been going forward. And I think that's very exciting about the girls softball fields. Worked really hard on that for a long time. So that's great.
And this is Commissioner Martin. And I don't have any requests. And I'd just like to also thank Christine for the update. I'm happy to hear about all of the projects in work for the youth in this town. As Commissioner Valcaringi stated earlier, that there is quite a gap once children pass the elementary school age. So I'm excited to see what the city has in store for the older youth in the community. Committee reports. Okay. The standing committee reports, facilities committee, do you have any reports? Is that me? It says Commissioner White Snyder.
Nope, that's me. Sorry. This is Commissioner White Snyder. Between my mute and finding it on my other screen. So this is one of the problems with the video thing. If I had it in front of me, but I don't. Anyway, we don't have anything new other than, I kind of co-coordinate all my facilities work with what I do on the Woodland Recreation Foundation, which was the focus has been the girls fast pitch. So there's nothing new at this time.
This is Commissioner Valcaringi. Carla, we did, remember between this meeting and the last, we did review the list that Christine sent us of proposed projects for the parks in the next couple of years. And I think we're actually discussing that tonight. And that was a very thoughtful list that city staff put together.
Okay.
I don't think there's any other updates from the other subcommittees.
Yes, no. All right, so we will move forward then to the consent calendar to approve the minutes for the October 26th meeting. Are there any corrections that anyone have for the minutes of the last meeting? Otherwise, I will accept a motion to approve those minutes.
This is Commissioner White Snyder, and I make a motion that we approve those minutes.
This is Commissioner Valcaringi. I'll second the motion.
Thank you. The minutes are approved as.
Wait, I gotta do roll call.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Not that part.
I have to have a job.
Yes.
Okay, so all in favor to approve the consent calendar, Commissioner White Snyder,
Aye.
Commissioner Valcaringi,
Aye.
and Vice Chair Martin?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Okay, now the minutes are approved. All right, thank you all. Other business, commission absence requests. Does anyone have any absence requests? I'm not sure how far in advance we're supposed to do those, but does anyone have any?
This is Commissioner White Snyder. I don't see anything for the next several months into the new year for me. So thank you.
This is Commissioner Valcaringi, and it's the same for me.
And the same for me. This is Commissioner Martin. I have no absence requests for any time in the near future. Okay, now we'll move on to future park and recreations facility improvement projects.
All right, I can do a little lead in for this and then turn it over to Commissioner White Snyder and also Commissioner Valcaringi. So the commission is asking or the staff is asking tonight that the commission support staff's recommendation to the city council to advance 6 projects. So we will be taking these items to the city council over the next several months in 2 different council reports. The first one being related to projects that would be funded from a non-competitive grant from the state. And the second one is for projects that would be using funding from funds that were earmarked for the debt service for the community and senior center that are no longer needed for that. We did review a list of projects with the facility subcommittee totaling $7.1 million. And we identified 6 different projects to advance that were related to public health and safety concerns, as well as ADA concerns. We have been focusing on playground replacement projects over the last couple of years with funds that become available, because as the play structures age, we do not have the ability to get replacement parts because of the age for the facilities. The other part that we would like to advance is moving forward with redoing the restroom at Harris Park or Harris Field, and also the bleachers and the asphalt. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Commissioner White Snyder and Commissioner Valcaringi to give their perspectives on this request.
Hi, this is Commissioner White Snyder. We reviewed the list and discussed a few items on the list, and our questions were answered, and I believe that we came to agreement that this was a good and valid list that was prioritized appropriately. Commissioner Valcaringi, do you have anything to add to that?
I just want to highlight how important putting together this long-term project list is. I remember maybe my first or second year on the commission, we were presented with one of these lists, and at the top of the list at the time was redoing the softball fields at the community center. And at that time, I was new to government work like the commission and the city staff does, and I just saw the price tag on that, and I thought, man, how are we ever going to do that? That seems impossible. But it's that kind of planning that made it possible. And this year we did the fields, which to me is pretty amazing to see. So I really appreciate the staff looking at our parks and thinking long-term about the work that's going to be have to be done to keep our parks usable for our citizens. And I appreciate the input, from different stakeholders in the community. One of the things I appreciated about the input this time was Carla spoke up about bathrooms that have needed replacement for several years now. And that got on the list so that city staff, who usually don't miss much, get reminded of things that are important to some of the other stakeholders in the community that use our parks, and that's on the list.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
This is Commissioner White Snyder again, and I really appreciate the thoroughness of the documents that are provided to us, because they've categorized them into improvements. Anything that's ADA has requirements, which bumps them up just by the virtue of the nature of what they are. And they prioritize them 1 through 4. So we can see what's on the list and what gets moved. And, you know, you can't stay priority 4 forever. At some point, you move up the priority list simply because you've been there for so long. And it's still a valid need. But we don't have the funds to do everything at once. We just don't. So I really appreciate the thoroughness of this document. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll just say that, you know, I'm extremely grateful that the City Council has in the past authorized funding from the excess funds from the debt replacement. And that did afford us the opportunity this last year to replace the play structures at both Beamer and Treadway Park. As well as setting aside $500,000 for the gap that we had in funding for replacing the turf at the sports park. So as Wesley will go into it later, but as you all know, we are in the process of replacing that turf right now. So the projects that we're looking forward to advancing in the next calendar year would be Trainham Park and Everman Park. And those would be utilizing the non-competitive per capita funds from the state. We would start with those first. And the process for that is that in January, we will go forward to the City Council, assuming you all approve this evening, and have them adopt a resolution from the state and some other requirements that they would need to adopt so that we can then move forward with fine-tuning some ideas with the vendor, having some public meetings, and if the timing lines up, because we're not quite sure how quickly the state will release the funding, we'd like to have those play structures in place prior to the start of summer. Once that's all done, then we would be working through the City Council part at the same time as kind of the boots on the ground for those parks. But while we're doing that, the fall would then be spent doing playground replacements at Campbell Park, which is a very large effort because we anticipate kind of moving some of the play structures around so it's easier for the parents to watch their children. And that would be $350,000, which is a very large playground replacement project, replacing the play structure at Christensen Park, but we'd also need to take into account, hopefully, when Little League is playing so that we're not replacing the structure during their season, replacing the bleachers at Harris Field and replacing the restrooms at Harris Field. And again, we would need to time that with the timing of fast pitch. So the second set of projects that I mentioned would happen after summer because we really try to coordinate it with when high use is and not conflict with that. That second set of projects, we anticipate receiving $861,000 from the City Council. So that still needs to be approved by the City Council to allocate that funding. But we wanted to come to you this evening so that when we go to the City Council, we can let them know what types of projects that we anticipate.
So do you need a motion from us to proceed with the program as outlined? With the
Correct.
projects
To support,
as outlined?
yeah, to support
Okay.
staff's recommendations on the proposed projects.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion. This is Commissioner White Snyder, and I'd like to make a motion that we support the projects as outlined and that they move forward to take it to the commission.
Yes, I'm muted. I'm sorry. I second Commissioner Martin. Krista, do we need to take a vote on this?
Yes, we do. All right. Commissioner White Snyder,
This is Commissioner White Snyder, aye.
Commissioner Valcaringi,
This is Commissioner Valcaringi, aye.
and Vice Chair Martin.
Aye.
All right.
All right. The motion
3-0 in support.
is supported. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. If there are no other improvements reports, we'll move on to the community service staff reports.
You're muted, Wesley.
I noticed. Thank you. I am pulling it up now. Okay, here we go. All right, so I'm going to try to get through this as smoothly as possible here. At Campbell Park, there has been the 6 exercise stations have been fully installed and are open to the public now. And we have received a very nice letter from one of the neighboring citizens there that was very appreciative of what we did there. Definitely should get a chance if you can and take a look at it. They're really nice workout stations, and I think they're well placed within the park too, on the walking path there. Grace Hiddleston, we have removed the grass so that we can skin the infield. There will be placing the infield mix and hopefully in the next week, beating the next rainstorm. But we're waiting on the infield mix to be made, and the rains kind of slowed that process down. At Rick Gonzalez, staff has cleared all the weeds in the bioswale there and placed seed in for this next spring. It's a wildflower mix, and hopefully that turns out really nice. In the Urban Forestry Department, the contractor is back in town. They're working in Area 6, and they've gotten quite a bit done already. We're hoping to keep them on board here and getting completed in the next month or two. Hopefully into December would be really nice, but that's probably wishful thinking with weather coming. And we also began the hiring process for the tree trimmer 1-2 position that was open. That should be completed by December 4th and a decision made. We hope that works out really well. And then in Spring Lake, we have begun the choices of where to put the benches exactly, and placement, and the benches are ordered and should arrive soon. The dog waste stations are in, and the staff should be installing those as soon as they get a chance here. And then at the sports park, 3 of the fields they're in the final phases of completion. And I just got word today that there's going to be a second crew coming in, and they will be helping to button that up much quicker to move forward into the next 2 fields and start which would be Field E and Woodland Healthcare. And that's the end of my report.
Yeah, and I would just like to say, with the turf replacement project, we have been able to do it so that the user groups are able to continue with their drills and clinics. Fortunately, not fortunately, but with COVID, the use of the fields has been minimized. And so that kind of complements the project that we're doing. Like, the timing is perfect if we had to have this scenario.
Okay. Wesley, what was the park in your first item, the workout stations?
That's Campbell Park.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, sorry, and I need to chime in about that too. So huge kudos to staff for working with the resident on this project. We were contacted quite a while ago about installing some exercise stations at this park that had previously been there, and everything had been removed, but there was, really just like the placeholders for exercise stations. And Wesley and Andrew worked with Mr. Krumpecker, I believe, and really identified the types of exercises that he thought would be good, because he had a background in physical education, and they continued to work with him on, showing him designs and everything else, and then ultimately to the installation. And it was from that resident that we really did receive a very complimentary email from.
Great, thank you. All right.
It's on you, Chris. You're muted.
I'll take the recreation side. So we're doing a lot of things virtually, and we just wrapped up the Gobble Trot. The Gobble Trot was a virtual challenge for anybody to do a 5K. And we had it open for about 20 days where people just had to sign up and do 3.1 miles any way they wanted to do 3.1 miles. All we had to do is have a picture of their smartwatch or something showing that they did 3.1 miles. And then we entered them into our drawing. We had over 100 people who registered for the Gobble Trot, and we got about 40 returns. We did the drawing today, and we had a winner for a K through 6. We had a winner for a high school student because we had no middle school students enter. We had a winner for 18 and over, and we had a winner for 55 and over. All the winners have been contacted, and I think we even had like a Fitbit winner, like an overall thing. And their prizes will be getting sent off tomorrow from staff. So pretty good return. There was some talk. We liked it so much that we could be doing another one shortly. So that was the Gobble Trot. And you saw that Rec2Go did some virtual things in October. The next thing up that we're going to be doing is our Deck the Town. And the concept for Deck the Town is you're getting an ornament, a wooden ornament. So if you all want them, I'm happy to bring them to you, mail them to you, whatever. And it's a little wooden ornament. You might have seen it on Facebook. Did you see this?
I did.
You did. So they're little wooden ornaments. You paint them, you color them, you puffy paint them, you spray paint them, anything. You know the hide the rock, find the rock concept? Same concept, but you would do this in one of our trees in our parks. Hang up the ornament. Maybe they find it, they keep it, they take a picture of it, or they hide that, whatever. That's the concept. Or you just do all yours and they keep them. It's something fun, something virtual, something gets you out. The way we're distributing most of these is that we've collaborated with our economic development group, and they're hosting the Shop Small Saturday this Saturday, and it's encouraging people to get out to our businesses. So we're delivering the ornaments to these businesses. So when people shop there, we're working collaboratively. So it's about 1,000 ornaments that we're delivering to the businesses. We also have about another 1,500 we're doing at other locations like the school lunch delivery sites for the last week before Christmas. Or even we're partnering with the police department where they're doing a toy drive that we can get them in the toy bags. We're just trying to get them out because it's just something fun, something creative, a little new concept that we're trying out. They're wooden, so at least they're not plastic, they're not glass. So it really shouldn't hurt our trees out there. So it's just something fun that we're doing. So if you see it, it's Deck the Town 2020 this year. So those are what we're working on besides having our distance learning program out there. Any questions for me? Yay, all right.
Okay. Any other comments or any other questions regarding the community service staff reports?
No, I do have a question. This is Commissioner White Snyder, and I do have a question about the budget information that was provided. There's just some funny looking percentages this year. It's only November, October, and I'm seeing half of the budget's gone on expenses. My question was going to be, is this normal, or is this part of the change due to COVID, or is there going to be a big swing the other way? They looked a little odd to me this time around.
Thank you. I can hopefully respond to that. This is Christine Engel. Carla, are you referring to the high percentage of remaining?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is totally unusual.
Yeah.
We're not spending a lot of money because we're not doing a lot of programming. We're not bringing in a lot of money because we're not doing a lot of programming. The areas, where you'll see kind of a difference though, is if you go down to the landscape maintenance budget And you see that that one has 26% remaining. And I kind
Yeah.
of gulped initially. However, I'm not uncomfortable with that because you'll see that for expenses and encumbrances, we have 218,000. So what I'm assuming here is that we've encumbered our entire year of landscape maintenance budget,
Okay.
you know, for all the general fund areas. So that makes sense to me. Same thing with park maintenance, you know, with different vendors that we've contracted with. We did just have, I'm trying to, my weeks kind of blend together. I guess last week, because today's only Monday. Last week we did have 2 separate budget meetings, one for the parks budget and one for the recreation and Measure J budget. And we're really comfortable where things are at. Of course, we would like to be bringing in money and providing services, but we're just not in a position to be doing that right now. And I really don't anticipate. I think that our budget's the report's gonna look pretty close to this next month too.
I just wanted to confirm. I mean, I could guess that was what it was all about, but I wanted to confirm with you because I'm not close enough to it. So thank you.
Probably, you know, like when you see the percent remaining, it's because of either vendors like landscape vendors, chemical vendors, tree vendors, or it's for staff.
That makes sense. No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I mean, the revenue side just looks like nothing you've ever seen, nothing I've ever seen, but it's not going to change much either because, well, we'll take in, you know, if I had a crystal ball and if things perhaps go maybe the way that they're talking about with vaccinations, then maybe our summer programming will be a little better than last summer. So you'll start to see some revenue increases for like April, May, June. And then in July is in the next fiscal year is where you'll see the expenses from those youth registering for our programs.
Okay.
So right now we're just doing deck the town and, you know, or everything else. So we're just doing some creative events that are really low cost.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I have a question. I have a rather novice question. I'm accustomed to dealing with college budgets where if you don't use the funds in one year, you lose it. What happens with the city funds? Is it the same?
It just depends. So we have basically 3 different types of budgets. We have the general fund budget, and you know, that's like the big checkbook. And if we don't use the money, yes, it goes back to the city's like savings account. For that works for almost all of them. For Fund 253, which is our enterprise fund, which is kind of like cash in, cash out. If we don't use the money and it's in excess of what we've spent and the revenue that we've brought in, it goes to our savings account. So it goes to a dedicated recreation savings account rather than like the big pot. And then for the lighting and landscape districts and Measure J, if we don't use it, it goes back to those savings accounts. So
got it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So, I mean, the benefit for us has been, we did run in the deficit for Fund 253 over summer because COVID hit fast. We had to run a program where we could only have, you know, groups of 10 kids, and we had to have staff, you know, to separate everything else and keep it safe. So we weren't charging what the program actually cost. But the last several years, we've been accumulating money in like our savings account. So we do have the funds to cover it.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, anyone? All right. If not, our next meeting is January 25th. We will not have a December meeting. So we have all the holidays coming up, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year and all of that. So I just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and enjoy your holiday season with family and loved ones. I hope everyone stays safe and that we will see you all back next year on the 25th.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes, I'm going to get there.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So at this time, I would like a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
This is Commissioner Whiteside, I'll second.
All right. Commissioner Valcaringi,
Aye.
to adjourn the meeting. I'm sorry. So the motion is to adjourn the meeting. Commissioner White-Snyder.
Are you just taking the vote for adjourning?
Yep.
Yes.
Aye. This is Commissioner White Snyder. Aye.
And Vice Chair Martin.
Aye.
All right. We can adjourn the meeting at 7:14.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say
Happy
thank you, everyone.
holidays,
Happy
everybody.
holidays. It's crazy how fast the year has gone, and hopefully next year there's more blessings.
Yeah.
Okay,
Good month
thank you.
off.
Okay.
Have a good
All
holiday.
right.
Good night.
Bye,
Night.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.